Got it. I was having a lot of mic trouble before this started, so it should be good now. Is it not good? Are we good? Hello? Is it broken again? All good? All right, the chat's a little bit behind. Okay. Well, it's all right. I am the child of boomers. In any case, actually, my dad is way better at this stuff than me. Way better. But reverby, I can't do much about. Zen, I am in a room made of wood. So that I can't help with, unless it's really bad, unusually bad. But this is where I live. So I was having a lot of mic trouble before this happened. So, but that actually was it was muted. So anyway, starting over. Good to see everybody. Christopher Ruocchio here of Sun Eater, and so we are doing, in case you missed the last video, we are doing a special sort of super book signing, book launch event. My wife is calling it a gala for Shadows Upon Time, 3 days early on November the 15th here in Raleigh. There is a link in the description down below. We have plenty of tickets. If you'd like to grab one, you can do that, and you can come see us. You can get the book 3 days early. You can meet me. Mike from Mike's Book Reviews will be there to MC the event. And we'll have some other guests too. I know John Minton from Talking Story and the Tudor Ramble guys are going to come. Rich and Austin. Got a few others too. And we'll do just sort of the usual, live Q&A sort of book talk event. And then we'll do sort of a panel with the booktubers, and there'll be a special thing at the end, and maybe a bit of a look at the next thing. Titan's Vision, yes, the VIPs tickets are all sold out. We're not going to add any more, because if we add any more, we're going to sort of dilute the value of those tickets, and that just won't be fair. So, but there are normal tickets, and normal tickets still get to meet me. We're still going to sign books. Don't worry, you just don't get the extra, don't get the extra hour and stuff. So, yeah, the other thing I want to mention, and I see I see a question regarding that. So I'm going to be at the Barnes & Noble here in Cary, North Carolina. I say here, I'm in Raleigh. Cary's basically part of the same urban sprawl. On Sunday at 4 p.m., Ryan Cahill will be in town. He was at WorldCon. He is on his way to DragonCon, and I'm close to DragonCon, relatively speaking. So, yeah, Albert, you're coming. That's great. But to the question I saw about Sunday at the Cary event, what are we allowed to bring into the BNN? You can bring books from outside, no problem. It is good form to purchase at least one book at the signing since the store is hosting us. However, you are allowed to bring books in from outside. That is no problem. And there are no rules beyond that. As far as what books you bring or anything like that. As far as the gala part of the question, will I sign the ultra rare card instead of a book personalization? Maybe, yeah. I won't say no, but I don't want to say yes, and then everybody will ask me to do it. So I can't. The problem is, depending on how many tickets we sell, there are going to be too many people for me to do everything, which is why the book signing, the book gala, is sort of a little bit more of a mill as far as the signing is concerned. I'm going to pre-sign all the books if I can. And then obviously if any of the book 7s are not signed, I will top them off during the signing part, but it'll mostly be personalizing and shaking everybody's hand and saying thank you for coming. And that'll be a little bit fast just because if we have a lot of people. But we still have plenty of seats, so I don't think we'll be too pressed for time as yet. So I know the chat's been rolling. So if I have missed things, just feel free to ask the question again. It's easier than me scrolling back and forth and missing stuff in the chat. So if I missed your question, feel free. Cosmic TK Christopher, a question about Shadows Upon Time. When will the paperback be released? A year later, so it'll be next November, probably plus or minus a month. Usually, it's standard practice for traditional publishing to follow the hardcover by about a year. That gives the sort of higher price point edition time for people to buy it, because obviously the publisher's trying to make their money up front. So they're trying to push you to buy the hardcover so that they can make more money, and so that I can make more money, frankly, right? But the paperbacks usually trail by about a year. I don't have a date for that yet. It's not even on their schedule yet. But it'll be plus or minus a couple of months. Will I be coming through Texas on tour after the gala? I think I can say yes, but I can't give any specifics. Yes, but they do want me to go back to Texas. Texas is my best state in the union as far as physical book sales are concerned, because there are a couple of booksellers in Texas that just like my books a lot, and they push them. Is talking about Barnes and Noble specifically, right? And so I do really well in Texas, so they want me to go back for sure. But I can say more later. The tour is being put together as we speak. So the reason I can't really answer questions is I don't know what it is yet. So any other manga I'm a fan of? I do love Berserk. Yeah, I love the original Akira. I love the film too, but like the manga is even better. I grew up, in like in the aughts, in the early teens, right? So that was Full Metal Alchemist time. That was Death Note time. I love those. I like some of the older stuff too. I like the original Shiro, Ghost in the Shell a lot. I like Battle Angel Alita. I actually didn't read that until much later. I came to it through the Rodriguez film, which was great. But I saw that first. Yeah, that's just a few off the top of my head. Have I ever watched Captain Harlock? I have not. I'm not. Speaking of anime, I know of it. Since we're at the bottom, no, we're not at the bottom of the chat. Hey, Sean, good to see you. I am currently 5 chapters away from finishing Demon in White, and all I can say is, wow, well, thank you. I am floored. Where did the inspiration for The Quiet and the Brethren emerge? There's not really a good way to address those questions without spoiling things. Talk about Escaflowne, educate them. Escaflowne rules. I mean, like, what should I say about it? I mean, it's like, it's great. It's a mecha show, but like kind of not really, because it's also high fantasy. It's awesome. Best music ever, maybe. I listened to that soundtrack on loop, working. Masterpiece. The tour will include Washington State. I would love that. I love Washington, but I just don't know yet. It probably won't be very, very big because the book comes out on the 18th. And then a week later, plus 2 days, is Thanksgiving, and I'm not gonna miss Thanksgiving. I love you guys, but I love my family more. Have you watched Alien Earth? No, I'm interested, but I'm interested, but yeah. What did I think of Twin Peaks: The Return? I still don't quite know what to think of Twin Peaks: The Return. I think I have a lot of normie things to say about it, like the Dougie Jones stuff really grew on me, actually, by the end. I thought it was pretty awesome. But I do feel like we missed an opportunity to have Dale Cooper around. And then the ending, I just have no idea, how to feel about it. But I think that is the point, right? Lynch said that pretty transparently. So there's a lot I really, really like about it. I like the crazy sort of Eraserhead, nuclear episode, even though I kind of don't love the lore implications of that, but it's such an experience. I really enjoyed it. But I do feel in a certain sense that the whole thing is a critique of nostalgia sequels while being a nostalgia sequel. And so that's probably sort of the main thesis, is that it is, in a sense, I think it's two things. I think on the one hand, it was David Lynch getting to bring all of his friends together for one last party, right? Because like everybody he ever worked with basically is in it, in some form or other. And I think that was, personally speaking, the point of it. But I also think that it was, as I say, a critique of nostalgia sequels, and a critique maybe of nostalgia itself, because it's not what I think anybody wanted, right? And but I like it. I like the heavier science fictional elements, which I've been given to understand are mostly Mark Frost's influence, which has sort of made me reevaluate his role in all this, because people don't really think about Frost at all. They so much of the focus is on Lynch, but my understanding is that he's the guy who's interested in a lot of the weird paranormal, sort of occult adjacent stuff, which is my favorite part of the whole show. So I think that all coming through with the glass box in the first episode and all that is like all that stuff was cool, right? All the like investigation and FBI stuff, and I love Gordon Cole because I love David Lynch himself, right? And so having more of him was great. I like the return on balance. I think it's my least favorite part of the whole show, actually, though. So anyway, I know you love Conan. Have I read Kane by Wagner or Elric? I have not read any more Conk ever except for his essay on Tolkien, which made me so upset that I have sort of delisted more Conk from my reading plans indefinitely. But I know of Kane, but I haven't read Kane either. The other big sword sorcery character I like is Michael Shea's Niftaline. I really like those. I really like those stories a lot. Again, if I miss a question, the chat's moving actually quite quickly. Please feel free to ask it again. I'm not ignoring it on purpose, except when I am. Did I beat Everdark Libra? I did. How many times did I lose? I lost 3 times, won the 4th time, and my partners in crime decided that was enough. I really like the Libra fight actually. I have in fact not read Moorcock, so the people who have said that I'm a derivative of him are indeed, as I think Casey said, huffing copium. But no. One of the most frustrating things about this job is when people say that you clearly ripped off a thing that you've never even heard of. That like Dune, fine. Like I will own that, right? I had something to say about Dune. I was trying to do something. I'm kind of tired of that conversation, frankly. Right? I'm turning into Tarantino. Like I've already answered that question. Right? But like it is very frustrating when people are like, "You clearly ripped off Warhammer 40K," and I'm like, "One, that's the pot calling the kettle black." And 2, I have never read any of that stuff. I don't like the aesthetic at all. That's always very frustrating. Have I read Red Rising yet? No. And I kind of still, I think I've decided I don't plan to, because like I'm gonna come back, right, and like and do more Sun Eater stuff eventually, and maybe I shouldn't, I don't know, but maybe one day, if the muse strikes me. Can I get a small clue as to which character will be on the event ultra rare card? No, I cannot. It'll be a surprise. It's a good question though. I think it's the only one I've 100% decided on for the batch. Which reminds me, I like goofed in my newsletter. I said the next batch will go out next week. I meant next month. It'll go out in September. I have one of the art pieces done already. John Balaran's working on the second one. I will get that in hopefully by the end of the month. Get the cards ordered, write the lore pages, get them in the mail. I feel like I just mailed out the last batch. That is such an ordeal. It's really fun. I really love doing it. It's not like I haven't been paid handsomely for it, but man, packing all those booster packs is an event. So I have to do it when the kids are asleep too, or they'll steal all the cards. So the big one will, at least. So yeah. Good question. How many Adaman short stories are out at the moment? I think we're up to 2. There are 4. There's the Barrow King, which you can read for free if you join my Patreon, even as a free member. You can read there now. There is the Pilgrim Road, which is on the Patreon. There is the Wages of Sin, which is on the Patreon. You don't have to join the Patreon to read those stories. You can just purchase the stories outright. You can buy individual posts on Patreon. And then there is the Shrine of Lost Stars, which is actually the second one I wrote, but it is in a book called Swords and Larceny, which is officially out in like 3 weeks, but people have read it because I posted the first draft on the Patreon, which is basically the same as the final draft, but there are 4. And there is a 5th one, which is called A Knightess of Van, which I just finished today. And that'll go in the Grim Oak Grimoire for Dragonsteel 2025. And that may end up being the last one this year. I'm supposed to do one for December, but I am behind on starting work on the next book, so we'll see. Was Baldanders one of the physicians that helped Typhon graft his head onto Python's body? His castle near Lake Diaterna is close to Mount Typhon, and he's skilled in the area. Man, that is a possibility I had not considered. I really like it. It's possible, maybe, but so let's see. What is Adamant? Is that the new series you're working on? Is it? I don't know. But what it is a sword and sorcery setting and character. Adamant is the character's name. Who I've been working on for 2 years now. I've done stories sort of intermittently. Those 4 stories I mentioned, most of them are on the Patreon. The first one was originally written for Galaxy Magazine, which made a return. I wrote a story for that. And then the others have appeared mostly through the Patreon. And so, yeah. What version of Escaflowne do I like more? It depends on what you mean. Like, the TV show is superior, but the film aesthetically is just great. It's just great. And they redubbed it with the new cast from the new dub of the show, which, like, Vic Mignogna is oh gosh, what's his name? The bad guy. And he's great. Yeah, no, I love the movie visually. It's just it's great. Where do I start with a new project? Characters, world, plot. It could be any of the above. There's not like a single road place to start. I'm gonna sound like David Lynch. But like, you have an idea, right? And like, that idea can come from anywhere. Usually for me, it's other stories, right? Or history, which is also a story. You know, they sort of grow out of there, right? Like, the idea presents itself. It can also be like a title. You can have like something that sounds cool. One of the Adamant stories I'm sort of brewing, I had the title first, and you know, you just like hear a phrase somewhere, and you go from there, right? I can't give a great example, because Sun Eater I started working on as like a kid, so I don't remember what the first little seed was. It was probably just watching Star Wars, right? And I can't tell you about the next thing, because I know that Mal Rubius is here, and he does Bible code on everything I say, so I have to be very careful. So, Baldanders isn't that old. Yeah, that's got to be true, right? It is an interesting idea, though. Is there any way we can track if international publishers acquire the publishing rights to Sun Eater? Not really. So the thing about that is, so my foreign sales agent is power of attorney, so I don't always know for a little while. Sometimes the deal goes through, and they wait until the paperwork clears before they tell me about it. So because like, something could happen, they could not agree on something, or something could change, right? So I don't always know. The thing to do basically is like follow your local publishers. Gustavo, if you were someone asked my wife about Brazilian Portuguese earlier. Portuguese is in process, but I haven't made a deal with a Brazilian publisher yet. I would love to. I get asked about Brazilian like 3 or 4 times a week at this point, which is a good sign. I don't know. I would follow the publishers, because they'll announce acquisitions. And I don't know about Brazil, but in the US, there's Publishers Marketplace, which is sort of a bragging wall for editors. They'll post, and agents will post sales and acquisitions. It's possible that Brazil has something comparable. You can just look at Publishers Marketplace in the US. So there might be something comparable for the Brazilian market. I don't know. That might be like a good centralized way to see what's going on. Is Night of Savan from a female perspective? No, it's still an Adamant story, but it is in no small part about a lady. So, if you read only one other series in your life, it should be Malazan. Man, I tried. I couldn't get into it. I couldn't get into it. I wanted the Flying Castle, and I didn't get it fast enough. That's like being simple, but like, I just got like 300 pages in, and I didn't know who anybody was, and I still didn't care. Yash, Howling Dark Diamond Edition update. Yes, it is with Casey, who is the copy editor. My text input is taken care of. And so once Casey's done, Casey's notes will be taken into account. The text will get cleaned up. It'll go to the typesetter. And when that happens, we can basically go to pre-order. I'm waiting for 2 illustrations from James Cook to come in. He's done all the inserts because we upped the inserts from 1 to 3. One of which will be for the lettered edition. So I guess it's from 2 to 3, because the lettered edition has a unique illustration. And then we took the end papers from 1 repeated image to 2 separate ones. And James has been very busy. James teaches at the Savannah College of Art and Design. And so he just has been behind. And so I'm waiting on at least one of those to come in, so that we have 1 piece left we're waiting on, because James has been behind schedule. I want to get as close as possible to ready. The end papers don't impact the typesetting at all, because the end papers are a separate part of the process. But I would like to use at least one of the end paper illustrations in the reveal trailer for the cover and for the book. And so I'm waiting on that. Once I have that, I can get the trailer video made. And we can open up sales. The other thing too is that Jenna needed to get the ticket sales for the gala, and the website redesign out of the way. And so we had to get all that done, and that's a little bit more time sensitive. I know everybody wants the Diamond Edition book too, but that could come out in a month or tomorrow or a year from now, and it would be okay. It would just be frustrating. Whereas the gala has to be in November, so we had to do that first. So basically, everything is clear now. We're waiting on 1 delivery from James so that I can make the video. Because I just want to be able to show off a little bit more. You guys have been patient. And the difference between this one and Empire of Silence is that with Empire of Silence, we didn't even have a finished cover. We had the artwork, and we were like, trust us, bro. And you did, and I hope that we have not let you down. But this time, I don't want to take your money and have you wait for 2 years again. That was not the way I would like to do things anymore. So I'm waiting. I'm developing all the stuff on my own dime because I have the capital now, and then when we're ready, we'll come to you for pre-orders instead of taking your money and making you wait, so that one dude on YouTube doesn't call me a criminal every single month over and over and over again, despite the fact that I offered to refund him every single time. You know who you are, and you're the worst. So also, I hope you liked your book, dude, or scalped it. Either way. Let's see. Actually, I haven't read anything beyond for my books. G-Wolf is the best. Fact, check, true. Maybe I should give Casey mod powers for the chat. That's a thing we can do. Am I more interested in the new GGK book or the new Tim Powers book? Man, Sam, that's not a fair question. Could I give you some background on the Order of Seekers? Kathy, I would love to, but that will be telling. That's probably one of those things that's like better if I don't. So, is William and a number of his titles inspired by Psychic Billy from Hyperion? Yes, yeah, that is absolutely. My uncle who works for Nintendo will ban you, though. That is true. You gotta watch out for that uncle from Nintendo. If Alexander becomes emperor, would he be Emperor Alexander, or they choose new names? No, he can keep his name. Maybe he could change his name if he wanted to, but you mentioned on Tudor Ramble that you thought Demon in White was your worst book when you turned it in. Why is this? Because I didn't have any time to edit it at all. I was working on the book while Jenna and I were getting married. And so I had a really hard time working on the book. I was still working full time too. And so it was getting to where if I took much longer, it was going to get bumped a year, because in traditional publishing, if you are late, they can't bump the book a month because the next month they've already scheduled. And like, what are you going to do? Take, attention from the other month's book releases, right? That would be bad for everybody, right? And the publishers don't have the budget. So you get booted between 12 and 18 months. And I did not want that to happen. And so we had the book. We had about a month to turn it around. The problem is that month included my wedding, and so I basically did not get to work on Demon in White at all. And after Howling Dark, I felt so good about Howling Dark. I was a lot less certain about Demon in White, and then I didn't get to clean it up in any particular way. And so it was that or not get money for a year, basically. And this was also too, this was before BookTube, and so I could not have reliably coasted for a year. My family needed me to turn that book in, and so I had to make a decision, and I decided that it was probably good enough, question mark, but I had a lot of that was a big question mark. And lo and behold, that's like reliably everybody's favorite if they don't love Disquiet Gods more. It's 3 and 6, so yeah. Anyway, hope that answers the question. Which of the 3 Sun Eater novellas was my favorite? Queen of Ashes, because it just went very, very smoothly, and I think has the most to say in a weird way. But none of them were particularly hard to write. Probably Dregs, because it just actually turned out to be way longer than I anticipated. But I didn't have a hard time writing Dregs at all. It went surprisingly smooth. Already pre-ordered the audiobook, Shadows Upon Time. Great. Thank you. It will be should be out on the same day. That's the plan. It's hard to predict, but it'll depend on things. Would I like Ruocchio to be the narrator again, or would I prefer a new reader to distinguish it? A new reader. I love Ruocchio's narration, but like the next thing can't sound like Adrian, right? Person, right? And like even though the next thing is a different genre, completely, right? If it's the same narrator, no small portion of the population is going to be like, is this the same? They're not going to get it. So like, it needs to be a different guy for the same reason that like I love Kieran, but like I would need a different cover artist, right? Like it can't look like a Sun Eater book. It needs to be something else. Out of all the Night Lords, Everdark and Regular, which is my favorite and least favorite? Least favorite is Seni Pest. Augur is pretty far down there. My favorite is Hillstor. Hillstor is amazing. It's like one of the best fights they've ever done. Libra is great. The thing about Night Rain is that like the Night Lords are my least favorite part of the entire game. I much more enjoy the runs than I do the final bosses. But as far as the Everdark Sovereigns, the only ones I've really enjoyed, I liked Fulgor, and I like Fulgor a lot in general. He's really cool. But I thought the Fulgor Everdark fight was great. I like the Kaligo Everdark fight, and I like the Libra one. All the other ones, you take your leave. I had no desire to ever do those again, really. So, I've gotten those bookshelves up yet? No. My father has had other projects, so it has not happened yet. My books are still in cabinets, and they will remain there until I die. I love you, Dad. This has been an ongoing joke. My father, somewhat infamously in our family, never put railings on the stairs to the 3rd floor in the house I grew up in. And so, there's always, you got to leave something undone, and he's like Finbar Calamitous from Jimmy Neutron is the joke. So, will Sun Eater ever get a dramatized audiobook? That'd be great, but no plans. So, wait, back up. Can someone explain the criminal thing? What criminal thing? So it took so long to get the Diamond Edition of Empire of Silence out. It took about 2 years, frankly. We had a lot of problems. We launched too early. Steve was very eager to start the campaign, and I was too. I was very excited about it. We didn't have nearly as much in place as we should have had in place at the beginning. So like this is still on me, and it's on Steve too, right? We started the campaign too soon. But like we were in this place where like there were no hardcovers coming out, and I was being bombarded with the how can I get a hardcover for less than $2,000 question like 12 times a week, and I wanted to do something about it. So we put the campaign out too soon. And then if people remember, we had a problem where it took months and months and months and months to get to the printer because Brandon Sanderson used the same paper at the same printer with the same factory as us. And they gave all the paper to Brandon. And so understandably, and so we had to wait for more paper to exist, the paper factory to make more paper because Brandon used all of that kind of paper in the world for his Kickstarter. And then once it came in, we had a series misprint problem that was not caught until the books were delivered to me. And then we had to get them reprinted, which took another 5 months or something. And there were delays. And then I had agreed to fulfill all the orders myself originally when we had just 500 copies we were selling. But because those sold out instantly, we then had 1,000, right? And we never updated our shipping plan. So I fulfilled all 1,000 personally, and that took a long time. And so like this guy was frustrated, right? And he was like, you just took our money and we're never seeing our books. Despite the fact that I've been giving updates like every time there was an update to give. You know, there are like 50 something updates on the Kickstarter campaign. Every time there was a setback, you know, like I came on camera multiple times to explain the delays and I'll say how sorry I was. I offered to refund anybody. I refunded everybody who asked immediately, right? This one guy would just come on YouTube all the time and call me a thief. And I would be like, I will give you your money back. And he refused to tell me what his real name was because I had his YouTube username. So I couldn't refund him because I was going to forcibly evict him and return his money. But he wouldn't even give me his name. So yeah, so that was the whole thing. Very foolish, childish behavior. It's very frustrating. But I understand the frustration. The book took too long, so I'm not doing it again. We're getting everything as together so that when we do the pre-order for this one, the file will be at the typesetter on its way to the printer, so that you only have to wait like a couple months tops, right? Instead of it was too long. It was too long, right? Although that is also pretty normal for Kickstarter. So anyway, enough about that. We do have a super chat. Let me go to that. Paul Cabuena. Shout out to my boy Yossi. Shout out to Yossi. Good to see you, Paul. Thank you for the super chat. Is that Polino in the thumbnail? Yes, that art is from What Are the Trading Cards? It was done by Kevin Keel, my friend Kevin, who also did the illustrations for the 2 Adamant stories that have illustrations. It is for the trading cards. You can get them through the Patreon. There'll be another batch mailing out next month, so now is a great time to sign up if you would like to. Any updates on Empire of Silence from Endorita? Next month. You will see the cover very soon. Very soon. Any updates on Broken Binding specials for 4 and 5? I don't know a thing. Broken Binding is at work as far as I know. My work on it's all done. I signed everything. So they will ship them out whenever they're ready. But I haven't talked to anybody except Patrick from there in a few months. So, yeah, I assume Patrick and I will get back together. For 6 and 7 very soon. But do I know if Dave Butler will be at the gala? I invited Dave. I really, really want Dave to come, but Dave is giving a series of lectures over that weekend on Mormon theology, so he's busy. So didn't work out. But yeah, work on the Endorita Empire of Silence is basically done. How did my bride feel about the title Demon in White? She thinks it is very funny. She thought it was funny then, and she thinks it's funnier now. How much do I imagine the quiet deviating from normal Omega Point cosmology? Will reading Tarot de Chardin spoil Shadows upon time? It will not. As far as how, I'm probably not qualified to properly answer that question, and certainly answering it would spoil a thing or two, I would think. and also like be beside the point, right? Because it's like I just can't answer that question. When I was working full time, how did I balance having energy to write and also working? I always have zero energy right after getting home from work. You must get up and write first. Flat Mars, you must write first. That is the secret. That's when I started getting up early. Which there's just no way around it. So I remember reading Ben Franklin talking about this. He's like, the reason so many people are miserable is because they like all they do is work, right? And so you need to get up and do something that's not your job before you go to work, so that your life isn't about your job. And that seemed like very wise advice to me. But then now I have children, so I have to wake up before them. So, have I read any of Tolkien's expanded writings about Middle Earth? The Sun published posthumously. I finished Children of Húrin. It's wonderful. Yeah, I have. I've read a ton of it. And it is all great. And Children of Húrin is the best of it. It's really, really great. It's awesome. Children of Húrin might be my favorite Tolkien story. It's hard to really compete with Lord of the Rings, but like it comes close. It is so sad that all those other stories didn't really get the full treatment. It would be really cool. How has the stress level been after turning in the last beta Shadows upon time? It has not gotten better. I thought it would get better, and it hasn't. I have a lot of stuff I need to be doing. And the problem now is there's like so many little things. It's like hard to rank order them and sort of break it down and come up with a plan. When I had to work on just the book all the time, it was very clear what I had to do every day. And now it's less clear. And it will be for another week or two as I work into the new series, because I have to get moving on that, frankly. Timeline is a little bit shorter than I would like. What's a food I get to eat for the rest of my life? I mean, like, how general am I supposed to be on that question, Christian? Like, we're talking like national cuisines? It's like I could eat Italian food indefinitely, or like Indian food indefinitely, or Japanese food indefinitely. But like, I have to be really specific on like you can only eat one food item. Salmon's great. I really like mushrooms because I'm a hobbit. Eggs are cool. Cake, if I'm being honest with you. But probably not the right choice. Yeah. Anyway, talk a little bit about the Barnes & Noble event on Sunday. Yeah, again, on Sunday, I will be at the Cary Barnes & Noble here in North Carolina. It's on Kildare Farm Road, 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock approximately. Ryan Cahill is going to be in town, and he and I are going to be in conversation and signing books for y'all, answering questions. It'll be fun. It'll be good to see Ryan again. It's been about a year. And he's on his way down to Dragon Con. He was out in Seattle for Worldcon, and I'm not a Worldcon guy, so I didn't go. But he flew to the East Coast, and he's gonna, I think, go to Knoxville to see a friend or something, and then they're gonna drive on down. I think he's playing. I think he might do a thing over there. I'm not sure. Why I mentioned Knoxville. We tried to get some other events together, and just nobody was biting. Too short notice or something, I think. But so we ended up not doing a tour and just did something local. Hey Christopher, I know you've been asked this 1,000 times, but do you plan on reprinting a Dust Jacket hardcover of the Sun Eater novellas? They resell for so much. The Andorita books edition, so those are fine press editions, which is part of the reason they sell for so much. They're like folio quality. And I believe the answer is yes. I think that Andorita Books wants to do a third printing at some point. We're working on Empire of Silence right now, but it might happen sometime after that. Cosmic Critique, you're a man. If classics wanted to ask, so you listed John Milton and referenced his influence. How do you as an author influence you with his work? Probably mostly badly. I think I bought into William Blake's sort of attitude about Milton, right? That he was of the Devil's Party and didn't know it when I was younger. I think that Blake is wrong about Milton. I don't think Blake was reading closely enough. I also think Blake was seeing something of what he wanted to see. Because Blake is a complicated character, let's say. But I think the sort of because I was for half my life I was agnostic and kind of a jerk about it. and because I was very dumb. That's mostly talking about the being a jerk thing, right? I can understand. I can understand being agnostic perfectly fine. Um, you know, but that there is a romance to the typical conception people have of Milton Satan as the sort of tragic romantic hero, right? This is like the Neil Gaiman Sandman version of Satan, right? And of course it's attractive. That's the point, right? And so that was sort of the my initial interest in Paradise Lost. This is, of course, a very shallow and an incorrect read of the text. Um, uh, that, of course, has sort of matured, and like Milton is in conversation with Dante to an extent too, and like Dante is another writer that I think about a lot. And I don't really know what else to say about that. But both Milton and Dante certainly are touchstones I've returned to frequently in writing the books for imagistic reasons and or for imagistic reasons. Yeah. KCCR, do you know if the Diamond Edition of Howling Dark will have bigger font? Yes, that was one of the mistakes. It's still not, there's still a lot to learn. The problem is I only ever looked at a digital proof, and on my computer screen, it looked fine. And by the time I saw that when we got the misprint, it was too late to fix it for the reprint because then we would have to go retypeset everything. There was just nothing we could do. So, but yes, the font will be bigger. What is the reading order for the Adamant short stories? You can really, really read them in any order. There is an internal timeline. I may tinker with it at some point. But yeah, if you read them in publication order, you'll be fine. I'd read Barrowking, then Shrine, and then Pilgrim Road, and then Wages. That's approximately right. I think I might move Pilgrim Road the timeline when I edit the stories again. But yeah, that guy must not understand how Kickstarter works. That is correct. So yeah, enough said about that guy. Talking about him will only inflate his ego, I'm sure. So we've done it enough. All the physical paper being taken by Sanderson is such a funny roadblock. It is extremely funny. It was funny even at the time. It was very frustrating. But like, man, like, what are the chances? So, for someone who's been loving your Adamant stories, what sort of sorcery stories would I recommend? Obviously, like the original Conan. But like the extended Howard canon is really great, and like nobody talks about Cull, and nobody talks about Bran McMorn. People do talk about Solomon Kane, but like those are all fun. Howard is such a brilliant writer, and it really like sort of I think the conception people have of Conan and the popular culture really does his writing a disservice. That character is much more multifaceted and complicated than Arnold or the Marvel comics, right, would lead you to believe. The Marvel comics are great, but like they do give you an impression of the character visually that I think too much simplifies who he is. But I also, like I said, I really like Michael Shea's Niftaline. Someone mentioned Kane earlier. I haven't read Kane, but like everybody who has loves it. Howard Andrew Jones passed away recently. I knew him very, very slightly. Very nice man. His Hanavar books that Bain put out are really, really excellent. I read the first one. Haven't read the rest yet, but I would like to. The one time Howard and I spoke, it was about me being a Rome guy and him being a Carthage guy, and got my eyes on you, Howard. But may rest in peace. So, yeah. Hey Christopher, I know you probably asked thousands of times. Plan on reprinting. I did that one. Okay. I'm just, I'm way up in the chat. Why don't I go down here? Okay. Probably won't make it to the event Sunday, but I appreciate all the signed copies at the Carrie B&N. I pick up my copies from there. Many are signed. Yeah, I go in there Not quite as often as I go into Quail Ridge because it's a little bit more of a drive for me. And getting to carry is always a little bit of a challenge. But well, I'm like a Raleigh native, so like a lot of the like carry sucks, right? Like a lot of that probably is gone now because almost everyone who lives here is from somewhere else. But like going to carry is too much work. But I do go in there a couple times a year and top them off. Ruocchio needs to be your man. Yeah, you make a fair point, John. Well, but like the thing is yeah. You make a fair point. I think I would like a different narrator, for the next series, but that is worth consideration. So, will I write any stories about the history in Sun Eater, like about the Murakami or the God Emperor Karn Saga? Almost certainly not. The more I think about it, because the sort of pattern has been emerging as I interact with you all, and I think maybe this is David Lynch's influence on me in the last year, right? I think the more that people ask for something, the better an idea it is that I not do it, because I think the frustration that you feel as a reader is good, right? And also I think that like if I answer the big questions about Karn or the God Emperor or something, I make those ideas smaller by giving you answers, and that is I think that's a mistake. I shouldn't. The questions are bigger and they're more nutritious and they're more interesting, and and I think I should leave you there. So yeah. Anything I can share about my upcoming series? Nothing at all, David. I can't believe I have read neither your books or Kyle's. I have all your books on hold at my library, Southeast Regional. I wish I could come to Cary because I love that Barnes Noble. You certainly can. It's don't let spoilers scare you away. We probably won't talk about spoiler stuff that much, if at all. It almost never really happens at events. You'll notice the lack of spoilers in this conversation. So you probably are fine. But yeah. Yeah. But I mean, if it's like a transport issue, that's something else. Did I build or customize my office? Yes. This room was an unfinished attic when we moved into the house. My dad and I did everything except the drywall and the insulation. My dad did the carpentry. I did the finishing work. So I did the staining and the polishing and the clear coating and the waxing and all that. I did the painting. But Dad did the electrical and the carpentry. So, do I ever get time to play video games? Yes, I do. I have been playing Elden Ring Night Rain a few nights a week, a couple rounds. 2 or 3. 3 that's a lucky day. That means the kids went to sleep early. But that's what I've been playing. Previously, I played Metaphor Refantasio, which was great. And I know everybody wants me to play Clair Obscur. I will eventually. I'm just not in a hurry. I'm sure it's great. Listen to the soundtrack; it was very, very good. One of these days. See, there it is. I see you, Marjorie. One of these days. I just finished this big RPG. I didn't want to do another one. Enjoying Night Rain a lot with my friend and my brother. So I'm good. The pictures behind me. That's Noah's Ark. And there's another one here. That's the Tower of Babel. They're both by Gustave Doré. Which and I love them very much. The stairs up to my office are all images from the series, but in the office, something else. So, look forward to seeing you there, John. Yeah, I'll see you on Sunday. That'd be great. Game of the year for sure. Yeah, I'm really the thing I'm pleased about it. Most pleased about it is that it's like it's an independent game that's like that's done so well. It's kind of disrupted the whole ecosystem, which has been very nice. Marjorie, if it's not too personal, how do I go from agnostic to religious? It's not that it's too personal precisely. It's that it's, in a sense, not about me exclusively. And so I don't want to really get into it. It's also a very long story. So this is maybe not the venue. But I had the short version is I had some stuff happen that changed my perspective. And that sort of went in parallel with realizing that a bunch of these sort of memes I believed were just not true. The sort of narrative everybody hears about, like the Library of Alexandria getting burned by Christians, and like we lost all this scientific knowledge. The Carl Sagan story is not 100% false, but it is the version that Carl Sagan presents in Cosmos is so disingenuous. Like he had to have known he was lying. It is just like not right, and the things people believe about like the age of the Gospels relative to the life of Christ and stuff like that is it just, if you know anything about like ancient document preservation, it's just very deeply like the Gospels are about the best documents we have from the period. I learned a lot of factual stuff like that sort of changed my mind about specific issues, and that was happening in concert with this more personal thing. What is the oddest thing someone's asked me to sign? Red Rising, probably. Which I did. I did do that. But that's the thing that jumps out to mind. The question. Have I read any Daryl Schweitzer? I have not. Mask of the Sorcerer. He's an SNS guy, isn't he? Yeah. No, that someone. I think his name was his name Randall. Randall. I hope it was Randall. A guy at one of my Durham signings asked me to sign a copy of Red Rising for Mike. So I did. I don't know if it ever got to him, but I thought it was funny. Hey Christopher, I had mentioned a few Q&As back about making Alzabo Super Like podcast for Sun Eater. I sent you all a message via contact page on the new site around proper crediting. Did we not get back to you, Cameron? Let me get up with Jenna about that. She's been handling a lot of the mail. With the new website came new emails, and it's possible that something fell through a hole. So if you want to resend an email to contact@highmatterbooks.com, we can try again. But anything we can do to help. I would say that the religious themes were a part of my storytelling before my reversion. Actually, I was always I never really stopped wrestling with these questions. They are, in a sense, like the most important questions, right? And I'm not saying that as a religious person. I'm saying that sensibly, right? Like questions concerning the nature of ultimate reality are more important, in a sense, even than like what is for dinner, right? You need to answer the like what is for dinner question, right? But this is like one of the problems with Maslow is that like your relationship with what is actually more important than food. And so and also like food was solvable. Some of these questions are they're much harder, so I was wrestling with them a fair bit more. I worked in a restaurant for 7 years. Food was easy, but yeah, it was not Austin. It was a different guy who put me up to signing Red Rising, but it is funny. It is funny. I'll scroll up while I'm waiting for the chat to fill in. Do you happen to know when the functionality added +1 the gala will be added? I made a mistake in my excitement. It should be working fine now. I know the website was a little bit greebly. It still is. We're working on it, but like the orders are all processing. So I know other people added +1, so you should be fine. How long after finishing the first draft do I wait to read what I wrote for editing and revisions? So that's the thing. My book is so long that like starting at the beginning is basically like waiting for several months. So it's okay. I know the general advice is to like let things cool off. So like I have this Fifth Adaman story I finished yesterday. I partly like need to get it turned around as soon as possible. I'm partly waiting on a couple people to read it. Dan, if you're here, but check your email. But but I will basically work on it tomorrow and try to finish it and get it sent off to the editor so that it can be done, because it needs to get done. That's partly because we We have such a short turnaround time. Sorry, my brain is full of holes today. Hello from France. Was reading some King Arthur stuff and noticed a place called Godolphin in Old England, conspicuously close to Hadrian's Wall. Indeed. Yes. Yes. The Godolphin were a tribe of Celts who lived in sort of northern England, near, I think, Northumbria. And there is a poem. The oldest mention of King Arthur is from Aneurin's poem Y Godolphin, which is about these cats. And Arthur is not in it, but he is. There is a sort of simile, I think, that compares one of the warriors to Arthur at one point, and it is from, I think, the 900s, maybe the 800s, and this makes it the earliest reference to Arthur in print. Is in a sense, because of this, like, some evidence, more evidence he was a real person, because it antedates a lot of especially the French stories, right, the Lancelot cycle and stuff. And so I tend to be in the camp that there was an Arthur, right? Like all the stories, no, but where do story ideas usually start for you? It really depends. I talked about this a little bit earlier in the stream, but like every story has like a different thing. A lot of the short stories I wrote, I had prompts because I was asked to like write a story for, like, I just did Swords and Larceny, right? Which David Afshari-Rod came to me and he said, "Hey, can you write a fantasy heist story?" And so I was like, sure. And so you had to work backward from the prompt, right? And then it's a question of like fit. It's like, okay, that has to be a fantasy story, so it has to be Adamant because it can't be Sun Eater, or can it, right? But they really wanted fantasy, right? So like, and they meant fantasy. They didn't mean what I mean by fantasy. I recognize that I have a minority opinion on the line between these genres. Whatever. So I had to do Adamant, right? And then I had to figure out the heist thing. What are we stealing? Why? And the whole thing with Adamant has been the short stories have been world building projects in the first place. So like I had to grow the story and the world along with it out of the prompt, right? So it's a question of that. Sometimes I have a title, sometimes like with Barrow King, for example, I knew I wanted to do a new thing. I knew I wanted to do sword and sorcery. So like the idea was more a conviction to do that, right? And in a sense, the character, because that story, more than the other Adamant stories, is really about Adamant, as opposed to whatever he's doing. And so hopefully that makes sense. I don't have a I don't have a precise schema for how I develop an idea. It just sort of very often the ideas sit around for a really, really long time. The next project, I will say, has been fermenting for a few years at the very least, probably longer. I'm not quite David Weber. David Weber is starting ideas that he pitched when he pitched Honor Harrington in 1992. That didn't get picked up when is the Clip Delo's noble accent just a Midwest accent? No, someone asked a corollary question about, like, do the Solons sound more British or Southern? They sound more British. But their accents don't sound anything like any of them, really, right? Because it's several thousand years of linguistic drift. And it's best to think of them as sounding British because of the cultural biases that my mostly American audience associates with these accents. And it's a question of your feelings, not the universe, really. The language they're speaking is sort of a mishmash of mostly English and Hindi, right? In the way that English is a Germanic language and a Romance language in a trench coat, right? We added Hindi, right? And I'm not a sophisticated enough linguist to do that. So the book is in translation, and which is me being is me limping out, right? But like I don't have the skill set, but I had the idea. So do I recommend Night Rain for solo players? Sure. They made it easier. I think it is less fun. I like the chaos and the randomness of playing with fools. And because frankly, when I play with my brother and my friend, we almost never lose at this point. So like, if you want things to go badly, and the game is most memorable when it goes badly and when it is frustrating in that way that Souls games. But it is, I think it is more fun to play with people than solo. Any plans for more merch options? Yes. But my poor wife does most of the merch development, and we've just been snowed under with so many things to do. We're working on sort of scaling up things around here. We'll see what happens. But we need to at least develop more for the gala. To which Peggy says, any questions on secondary market gala VIP tickets? Show me email to your inbox. You're talking. We're not going to add it anymore, because the real thing that people get for that is an extra hour before the show starts, where it's me and Mike and the VIP is sort of talking, right? The other guests I think are going to come along too, and just hanging out for an hour before the show starts. And if we add more tickets, that dilutes the VIPs to me ratio, right? And that's just not fair to people who pay all that money. So we're not going to add anymore. If you mean secondary market, if you mean people are reselling them, I have no idea if people are reselling them. We haven't sent out the QR codes yet, so I certainly wouldn't buy any. I hope that no of the 100 and some people who bought them, that no one would do that. I hope that people who are paying so much attention would not scalp, but there's also nothing really to be done about that either. You can't really stop people from doing it. I would suggest the best thing you could do about scalpers is just buy a normal ticket, because I will still see you, I will still shake your hand, I will still sign your book, right? It's just because there are so many people going, it's not really reasonable for me to sign 12 books for everybody. There's just not time. So the people who come to the gala with the new book signed, but the VIPs I will sign whatever they bring. And they'll just go at the end of the signing line, but there's still a signing line. Everybody will still be in the same signing line. The VIPs perversely will probably have to wait a little bit longer, just because they'll have more stuff, right? And I don't want to spend their hours signing books. And also, like, a lot of this is still, Jenna and I are trying to optimize everything so that we can make things as smoothly as possible. So I've just said this, that may not be true on the day. We will figure out what the right plan is. So. Any interest in writing about the rise of the Murakami? No, I think it's too topical. I think coming too close to our time and our climate, I think, is a mistake. I don't want to do that. I don't know a way to do that without it feeling like I'm pointing fingers at real people and telling them that they are bad, and that is not the point of my work. So. Tales of Thunder Omnibus when? Soon, hopefully. I need to really get moving on the next book, unfortunately. So, and we've got Howling Dark and the Diamond Edition Howling Dark to get out the door first. So there's a bit of a log jam, but, we'll get there. So, thank you, Chance. Who's the best duelist in Thunder Universe? The characters that you've seen, Hadrian's not bad. Bear in mind, he is mostly fighting. Even without his powers, bear in mind he's mostly fighting like superhuman robots and cyborgs and giant aliens that are stronger than people, right? Like, the fact that he gets his butt kicked so much is a testament to his opponents. But we're talking human characters, right? And we're setting aside cyborgs. Any number of the Jadians are very, very, very good. Alarin's probably in the top 3 of the characters we've seen. Hydarnes is certainly in his youth was probably the guy, right? But the Jadians have an advantage because of their more eugenic sort of breeding, cloning. Not cloning, but they do cloning, but it's not relevant to how they generate new nobles, right? But would I ever do fan submissions for merch designs? I don't want to say no, but I hadn't thought about it. What does Hadrian's voice sound like in my head? at this point, like Sam Rukin, sort of. I mean, like mine, really. Like Adrian doesn't have an English accent in my head because I don't have one. You know, I don't do voices when I'm writing. It's my voice reading to you. Really, I don't think about it. I can't give you any clues about the new thing, Cameron. Nice try though. How have I dealt with indecision in my writing? I just don't think about it. You just gotta keep going. No. Depends if it's a small thing. I just like usually just don't. What I'll do is I will put like an @ sign in the document and then come back to it later. Even if it's just like a part of the scene I really don't want to write right now. I did that a lot with this last story. I was like, okay, I need to like really move on. Like I don't want to finish this fight scene right now. Like let's go, right? And then I'll drop an @ sign in the document, come back later. I'll do this too with names if I like don't want to stop and think about a name or something. If it's like a big macro scale structural decision, I might not work for a couple days and have to like go think about it. The most important thing you can do is stop doing what you normally do. If you always write on your computer and you have like a big log jam, leave your house, right? Go for a walk, think about it, talk to yourself in the woods like a crazy person, right? Write it on actual paper, right? Do a bunch of flowcharts, right? Doodle like a maniac trying to figure out how to get all these things to go together. Tear the paper into little pieces. I don't care what you have to do. Do not keep writing on your word processor. Go use a different part of your brain. Touch grass. Do anything else. Go get lunch. Go get a snack. Yeah. Do not keep doing what you're doing. Have I watched any Ken Burns documentaries? Civil War. Yeah. I think that's the only one. Christopher, I remember in a clip you don't believe in pacing or something like that. Yeah, I don't believe in pacing. I think pacing is made up. I think that what readers call pacing is a subjective measure of their individual engagement with the text. Because I've seen, I have a large data set at this point of reviews. I have seen people call a book slow and people call the same book very fast. I have seen people call the same part of a book very slow and very fast. In extremely large numbers in both directions. I've seen people fight about it. I do not believe that pacing has anything to do with me. I think that pacing is like some people just like this stuff and some people don't. And if you like the book, I think it feels fast. And like maybe you like the book, but you're struggling with it, and then it feels slow, right? So it's not like 100% corresponds to how much you like the book, right? It's a measure of maybe like difficulty and engagement. Like I would have to make an equation to figure out exactly what I mean. But like I don't think it's me. Because actually for me, all the books are much slower and much longer than they are for you. For me, like Shadows is 15 months long, and that's just the first draft, right? And that's not just because I've read the version with 90,000 more words, right? It's just the books are eras of my life and not things that you read, right? And so I have a very different sense of how long the book is and how slow it is and everything. So, so I just don't believe, I think, so I do tend to think that there are a lot of objective measures of quality in art, right? I think the idea that it's all your opinion and it's just your opinion, I think that's crap, right? But I do think how fast the experience of reading the book is totally up to you. I hope that makes sense. What is next after Sunnier? I do have plans to make another story. I can tell you nothing about it. Am I down with signing cards at the gala? I don't want to answer that question too definitively. I won't say no. But like bear in mind, for most people, I can only really sign or personalize the new book, so it would be like a one thing kind of thing. VIPs, we'll see, but I don't even know how well they would sign. I don't think I've tried that yet. I have done. I think it was okay. I think the Sharpies okay. I came in and was told to touch grass. Do it. If you're having a problem writing, you should go outside. I mean, I do spend a lot of time staring out this window. But that's also good for your eyes. Staring at a thing 2 feet from your head all the time. Or, mine's probably about 1 cubit. There, I said it. It's not good for you. I love literature, philosophy, and theology. However, life hasn't allowed me to study it, but I desperately want to write a fantasy book. Any advice? If you feel so, like the usual bit of author advice is you need to read, right? A certain other writer who dressed in black all the time, who we don't talk about anymore, would say that a lot, right? And that is true. Like you do need to read, right? If you feel like you need to read, right? If you feel like it's time to write the book, right? Then you should write. But if you don't feel like you're ready to write the book, then you need to read the things, right? Or otherwise engage with the subjects that you want to think about. And if you want to write specifically, like it does kind of need to be reading. Like, look, I love a podcast, man, but like the but the written word is a different phenomenon than a conversation. And as you can tell, like I say a lot more than I write it. There it is. And so you need to engage with the actual medium of text, and you need to practice writing. And so reading is one way to engage with that medium. And that is the primary reason really to read, right? Is so that you begin to appreciate the language itself. But you need to read about topics that you feel like you need to talk about for your story, right? So you want to write a fantasy book, you know what it's about, read in the direction of the ideas you want to talk about. And hopefully that will feel satisfying because it's in service of a project, right? One of the reasons that the way we teach reading is so poor is that we teach reading as an end in itself. And collecting knowledge for no purpose isn't any good, right? And to most people it feels like it's not any good. And so we like read all these books we don't care about in class because we have to. Largely, we actually should be reading those books to put ourselves in touch with our culture, right? And that is the end, right? But you're never told that in grade school, that you're reading Shakespeare because you're from a culture that produced Shakespeare, right? I'm not English, but still part of the English tradition. And we don't say that. I don't know if teachers don't even know that anymore, or if they're afraid to say it, or what the deal is. But we don't tell people what reading is for. We just it's to learn stuff. It's like, okay, why do I want to know about Hamlet? Right? I don't want to know about Hamlet. But if you read about something in service of a goal, it can feel a lot more meaningful and direct. So, Xenos, sorry, I missed your question about the mannequins. There's too many questions. There are 100 of you guys. The answer is yes, they did. If you're still here, but less the mannequins particularly, and more just sort of the Gnostics generally as a category, which the mannequins sort of have some Venn diagram overlap with. I'm not trying to miss people's questions. It's just kind of hard to keep up. Did I have design input on the Broken Binding cover art? Yes, I did. I did. Qubit mentioned yes, but we're not getting into weights and measures again. It's not happening. For some reason, I thought that was a giant TV behind you. No, it is a curtain. See? Yeah, it's a curtain. Yeah, it's was that a Roman blind? As opposed to Venetian. The Adamant story, Battleborn, is a reprint. It's going to be Pilgrim Road. I don't have time to write another one. How do I come up with names for things in my book? It depends on what the name is. If it's like if it's a planet in Sun Eater, I look at obscure place names in the Greater Roman Empire. And usually pick one of those. And I because you don't want to do like the obvious ones unless it's like an important planet, right? Because my thesis is that we didn't run out of Greek gods for our solar system, but we gave up using them when we got to the dwarf planets partially, which annoys me. It just bugs me so much, right? But then we would probably run through all these other pagan gods eventually on other systems as we moved out. And then, you got the people who discover the planets and stuff like that. But eventually the sort of cultural gloss is going to have to generalize. And a lot of place names, right? If you look at English place names, it's obvious, right? Greenville, for example, right? the village, and there's like some trees probably, right? And like basically any language is like that, right? And the fact that it's Greek or whatever disguises the fact that actually you're just living in a place named Redwall, or whatever, because there's a red wall, and maybe there's a talking mouse. But I so like place names. I have this vectorized map of the Roman Empire. It's very scalable. It goes down to like little teeny tiny villages, and so I can get tons of names just off that thing. But like character names, it depends broadly on like what culture they're from and like what social rank they're at. And I don't want to share all those rules either for how I name characters in the Empire. But like I have a lot of rules for how I'll do that. I'll pull from different ethnic groups for different classes in the Sullan Empire, for example. And like if I'm looking at the extras, they have different rules. Sealson's a little bit more complicated because I have like the whole language I need to work with. Some of the names are just gibberish; they just sound cool. I know what Sealson sounds like, and I don't know what some of them mean. I know what like Siriani means, but I don't know. I don't know all the Sealson names for sure. And sometimes I didn't know about them at the time, and then went back and then did it. So, favorite Disney Channel original movie? Man, that's actually a really great question. The only one that's coming to mind is Up, Up, and Away, which I feel like I watched like 12 times growing up. But it's about a superhero family. I don't know that I love it, but like I watched it a lot. I don't know. That's the one that comes to mind. When am I coming to South Florida? I don't know, but I would love to. I love Florida. It's been a long time. A lot of friends in Miami, so. I've wondered if I'm wearing a black shirt with a little white as my go-to shirt is an unconscious connection with wearing a cassock. It did not occur to me at all until I was in St. Patrick's and a lady walked up to me, realized I wasn't a priest, and walked away, and I reconsidered my fashion choices in that moment. And then I'm still reconsidering them. Any sneak peek available in the next series? No, sir. You have to go to the gala. That'll be the first time we'll talk about it. Marjorie, I cannot answer that question. We got another book, and then we'll see. Yeah, Up and Away is pretty good. I'll stick with that one. I'll stick with that one. It was fun. I know I've seen like dozens of Disney Channel original movies, but that's the only one I can remember right now. 27. Thank you for the Fathom to Lightyear conversion. Very epic. Coral Springs. I awesome. I've been there. What am I thinking of? Is Coral Gables a thing too? I'm confused. I thought I'd been there, but now I'm not sure. Coming text for connection characters with Thracian names. They're very well maybe. So how do I feel about becoming the sci-fi fantasy fashion icon? The gowns full of people in black polos. Well, look, it's a great shirt. Okay, bunch of goobers. Epic fantasy or sword and sorcery? I answered this question. I did an interview for was it Sword and Sorcery magazine, or they have another title that is escaping me. Gosh, Alex, forgive me. His name was Alex. And I largely I guess so. I have very squirrely feelings about how we do genre in science fiction because it is different than we imagine genre in like the Academy, right? The idea that like grimdark and epic fantasy, right, are different would not occur to like a normie literary critic, right? We are very, very particular about genre gradations in the same way that metal fans are. Largely, I suspect, because it's the same people, right? I don't think it's useful to delineate between a lot of this stuff. So, like, what's the difference between sword and sorcery and epic fantasy, right? What is it? Like, you can sort of point to a couple of things, but the reality is that line is so fussy and blurry and squiggly that, like, man, it is hard, right? People will say, well, sword and sorcery is short, for example. Epic fantasy is long. They will say, right, sword and sorcery is about like a solitary hero. Epic fantasy may be about an ensemble cast, right? Magic is bad in sword and sorcery. Magic is neutral or good in epic fantasy, right? Elves and dwarves here, not here, right? And all of those could actually be false under the right circumstances, right? And I think what really people mean, really, when they say anything, when they say I'm writing cyberpunk or they're writing steampunk or they're writing whatever, is they're writing after the fashion of the writer that we most associate with that term, right? I'm writing epic fantasy because it's more like Tolkien than Howard. Despite the fact that Howard and Tolkien are weirdly a lot alike. They're very different in other ways, right? But Howard is very American, right? And there is a very American ethos underpinning and a very Texan ethos underpinning Howard's writing, particularly, right? That is very different than the Englishness of Tolkien. However, right, they also have a lot of stuff, in common. But I think when people say, I'm writing sword and sorcery, they're saying, if you like Howard, you'll like it. And I don't think it's actually a lot deeper than that. I think that everything else gets into a sort of taxonomic question. We have this problem in biology too. It's like, is that an octopus or a squid? I'm not sure, right? And there always are exceptions, like, like actually a roly-poly is a crab, right? Like it's a crustacean, right? It's not really a bug, right? That's not really a bug either. Almost nothing is a bug. They're almost all insects, right? And, that's not a real crab. That is a fake crab. There are far fewer true crabs than you imagine, right? Evolution just keeps making crabs, as I love to bring up. And I am talking about myself. And I think that I'm kind of rambling, but like I think that you can find exceptions for like any set of criteria you want to generate for a genre, right? And you can always find exceptions. And so I mostly think it's a fool's errand to even try to draw these lines. Anyway, as you can tell, I'm very tired. Nom Goose is laughing at me. So, genre gradation is an artifact. I'm glad you're still here, Xenos. Gradation is an artifact of fantasy booktubers' quest for new material. I no, it predates that. I think it's something in the nerd psyche. If I'm going to psychoanalyze an entire group of human beings at once, right? That just really loves these little boxes, which is ironic because they also don't like distinctions when they're talking about themselves. But in any case, am I going to put the gala on YouTube later? That is the plan. It won't be live streamed, and it might not even be immediately. Like it might be a month or two. But I would like to record it. I would like to put it out eventually. And of course, the all the material is going to come out eventually. Like people are going to know like what the new book is, and the art for the card will get revealed, even though people won't physically have the card, right, or something. Like I'm not going to hide anything from you. It's a question of first, and it's a question of like the t-shirt is for people who are there, right? Any plans to come to Chicagoland? So let me answer all the any plans to come anywhere question. There is a tour getting put together for book 7. All I know about it is that I am for sure going to Texas. I don't even know precisely where in Texas I'm going yet. We're working on that. I don't have any plans beyond the tour for Dawn and to go to Dragonsteel, so Utah in December. Nothing between now and then except for my signing in Cary on Sunday with Ryan. I've got 2 little kids, so I try not to leave unless I really have to. But yeah, so I'm gonna be on the road for like a week between the release of book 7 and Thanksgiving. I'll be home for Thanksgiving, and then I'll go to Utah for about a week for Dragonsteel. I would love to go to Chicago. I would love to go up to the Northeast. I would love to do the Midwest more broadly. I've never been to the Midwest for work. I don't think I've ever been to the Midwest, period. I've been through the Chicago airport a few times, but that doesn't count. Airports are not really in the places that they're in. But I would love to go back to the West Coast, California, Washington, But I just don't know yet. So you should get a cameraman like people do for weddings. That's basically the plan. Basically the plan. Are there any particular influences on Adaman besides Howard? Yes, I. So Brendan, I am trying to talk a lot less about influence because the conversation, understandably and frankly deliberately, became all about influences with Sun Eater, and I'm tiring of it. I don't mean to sound standoffish, but I would like to talk about the story more deeply rather than encourage people to play Easter egg hunt. If that's cool. But yes, I guess I could say more broadly that like Adaman is very much inspired by my affection for Japanese science fiction and fantasy, manga, video games, anime, of course. And there's a lot of influence there, particularly with regard to the attitude about those lines between fantasy and science fiction and what makes, one thing that or the other. Because JRPGs don't care, and there's a deep influence from that aspect of my upbringing. I think with Adamant more than literature even. So, I do have a top 10 on Moid's channel. I more or less stand by it. The one thing I remember from that video is I talk about how Lord of the World is in dialogue with books wells, and somebody in the comment was like, "That came out after Lord of the World." Though I was like, "Damn, I'm stupid." Do the Looney Tunes thing where Elmer Fudd slowly turns into a sucker. That's how I felt. Hey, Drew from Patreon. Good to see you, man. Thanks for signing up. Do I think the Force in Star Wars perfectly balanced as all things should be, or that leans more towards the light side? Man, that is like a gigantic question. I think that Star Wars is metaphysically a giant mess. I remember there's a YouTuber named Jonathan Peugeot who pointed out once that, like, it really makes no sense that the light side, which is associated with peace and order, right, is also associated with like is associated with this like sort of passionless sort of impassivity emotionally, whereas the bad guys, excuse me, the Rebel Alliance is associated not with order but with chaos. It is peace, but it's chaos. It's like disorganized and kind of democratic and all this stuff, and it's associated with the sort of spiritual impassivity and centeredness, not self-centeredness, but centeredness, and the dark side, right, which is associated with like crushing totalitarian order, is also associated with rage and passion and chaos. It doesn't make sense. The way the Sith act is completely out of concert with the Empire, right, and the way that the Jedi act is completely out of concert with the Republic. Like, it just doesn't make sense. And as you say, the sense that balance tilts towards light, right, is a contradiction as well. And in Star Wars, like, I love Star Wars, but like it's a big mess. Like, I always laugh at like Star Wars lore channels, right? Not as much as I laugh at Doctor Who lore channels, right? Because like I remember, I was a big Doctor Who fan during the first Russell T Davies era and the Stephen Moffat one in particular. I quit after that. It's such a nightmare. It's even sadder than Star Wars. But like people would always like be like, "Oh, this is clearly like." There's this whole theory for a long time that Rory was secretly a Time Lord using the Chameleon Arch from like season 3, where the Doctor was pretending to be a guy, and it's like, bro, that's never gonna happen. It's just you're trying way too hard. It's sort of like when all the Dark Souls lore tubers went to play Tears of the Kingdom and discovered that Nintendo did not give a damn about item placement. And they just lost their minds. They're like, "What do you mean? Like, I can't actually fact find about the world building from like this contents of this treasure chest? Like, this isn't a From Software game." And it's like they do not care, right? And Star Wars is not that deep, and pretending that it is a mistake. Anyway, that's my soapbox. I love Star Wars, but no. Have I watched the Castlevania anime? I was astounded. The animation is absolutely next level. The animation is wonderful. The show is terrible. I do not like it at all. It is very, very cool to look at, but the narrative is I watched like half an episode and I was like peeling my face off in frustration. Yeah, I really did not like it. Have I heard about Ergo Proxy? Yes, but I have not seen it. I seem to remember Warhammer 40K is not an inspiration for you. Correct. Is it a franchise that interests you? No, I have never liked. The look of like the Space Marines. I don't like the giant shoulder pads and the big feet. I just like always thought it looked silly, and I've never been a fan. I don't have anything against it, you know. I just don't. I just don't like it. So, but that's funny. Do we have official Tamerlane art? It appears in at one of the end papers for Broken Binding. It's not 100% there, but yeah, Doctor Who is just whatever it takes to make the episode work, even if it barely makes sense. Correct, right? And that's fine, right? Like it works for Doctor Who. Doctor Who is a vehicle for, it's like an anthology show in disguise, right? And this was like super the case when the show was brand new, like back in the day. So I think you're being a purist about Star Wars. I don't think that's true. I think I'm expecting it to be something that it's not supposed to be. I think I'm wanting it to be something it's not supposed to be. And like I really like, I don't hold this against Star Wars either, right? I like Star Wars. I like particularly the 6 original movies. I like Rogue One fine. I think even Andor is overrated. I think all the TV shows are not great. The other ones are mostly terrible. But even there are things I like. Like I liked Kenobi because I liked seeing Ewan and Hayden again. You know, but and I love a lot of the books. But it isn't, you know, it's not Dune, right? It's not Foundation. It's not, you know, and it's not trying to be, but like its fans treat it like it is, right? I just laugh at lore tubers. You know, it's just like the people who make this stuff care so much less than the people who consume it. That like I you know, with exceptions, right? Like you know, I've met a number of Star Wars writers, you know, old canon and new, and you know, just a lot of them just don't. They just like, man, like it's just a job, right? So. What do I think of the animated shows? I've seen them. I think they're fine. I don't like the art style. So like I know Clone Wars is great. I just like can't bring myself to watch it at like because I just don't like the look. Personally, it's not my vibe. But I mostly just watch the movies. In that sense, I am a purist about Star Wars. Is book 6 and 7 going to be released together for Broken Binding next year? Yes, yeah, next year. What I think? Yeah, I answered that one. My best friend is reading Advances Dying Earth and said it reminded him of Clark Ashton Smith, which is a connection I never made before. I don't have any deep thoughts about that. I could totally see why you'd say that, but I haven't read either in a minute. So if I say anything particular, I'm sure I'll make a mistake. But I can kind of see. Maybe it's a mood thing. There's a particular quality to the darkness, I think, in both of them. Maybe that is similar. So. Dying Earth is goated. Yes, it is. It is great. Yeah. And to be honest with you, on the Star Wars thing, I kind of always like if it's not in the movies, I didn't really care that much, right? Partly it's growing with my dad, right? You know, my dad is, I think, in a sense, the model of the average Star Wars fan, actually, in the sense that like he like very casually loves the movies, right? I think most people who like Star Wars are like, yeah, I'll watch that. It's on TV, right? More than the actual like fans, right? And so he's like, where's Darth Vader? He's not in this one. Don't care, right? And that was always very grounding for me, I think, and has kept me from being too runaway about all this stuff. I think the sort of 1-2 punch of that and trying to be a Doctor Who fan and put everything together and realizing it was not meant to be put together sort of prevented me from taking any of this stuff in a sense too seriously. So I have not read Peter Watt. I have read Leoness. It is great. Leoness is excellent. Do I think the Dune Messiah movie will be any good? No, because I don't think Dune Part 2 is any good. I think they changed some things too fundamentally to adapt Dune Messiah accurately at all. My Discord bio says Dune 84 supremacist, which is definitely me joking around. But but I don't like the Villeneuve movies. I've decided. I'll still go see it. Like, they're still good films. They are poor adaptations, in my opinion. I should know the answer to this question, but I'm drawing a blank right now. Chani was not Chani. No, Stilgar was not Stilgar. Jessica was not Jessica. The Harkonnens are not the Harkonnens. Dune miniseries is really the best adaptation, correct? Right. The thing about the three Dunes that really struck me though, I rewatched Dune 84, is that like Dune 84 is in a sense the closest to Sun Eater in that Paul is actually the real deal, right? And so in a sense, Lynch's Dune is my Dune spiritually in terms of what it's saying. So and what it's trying to be. It is also like it is actually the most interesting, right? The setting is the most lavish and the most baroque. I don't think the sets in the Villeneuve movies capture the book at all. I don't think anything looks like it looks like in the books. I like the brutalism is an interesting choice. I like a lot of I love the costumes. The costumes are great in the Villeneuve films. The cast is wonderful. The music is very interesting. The sets are just abominable. Yeah. Any expanded Dune novels that I like? I kind of like the Butlerian Jihad books. I don't think they resemble the Butlerian Jihad as described by Frank at all, but I do enjoy them on their own merits. I think they are fun. The Harkonnen in 84 are creepy as heck. Absolutely. I think the Baron that we have in the miniseries, Ian McNeice, is far and away the closest one to the book. If he just had a basso voice, he'd be perfect. I think Skarsgård has the presence, but the costume is not there. The depiction of the Harkonnens in the Villeneuve movie as sort of like these insectile, ascetic fascists is missing the point completely. The one part of them I really, really like are the spooky Colosseum clowns in the like weird Amadeus hats that look like with the swords, the like picadors. Like those guys are pretty close to the vibe I was expecting. It's not Baroque enough because the Harkonnen they're not ascetics at all. They're not these stripped down sort of Spartan bug people. They are like hyper consumatory, predatory aristocrats. And like that's just not there at all. Erasmus is such a great villain from the Butlerian trilogy. He is a good character. The thing that's funny about him, right, is like he can't do a painting, and it's like AI can do a painting actually, and like people like their pictures, right? Like I know that like they're not as good as actual paintings. Like I would never use it, but like it works for a lot of people. I get handed a lot of fan art that people didn't make. So like writers have always patted themselves on the back in science fiction and been like, "What the robots will never replace is creativity," and it's like, plot twist. That's what they're coming for first. Good job. So that's funny. In hindsight, I don't think the books have aged very well as prophecy. It's funny you mentioned Erasmus, but he is very fun. He's the most fun part of those books, I think. I like Vorian and Xavier Harkin a lot, though. I think they're both very good characters. The Scott Brick audiobooks are tremendous too. Scott Brick's great. Is there a sci-fi fantasy novel that has been adapted you think would be perfect for the big screen? I don't know about perfect, but I really would love if we lived in the timeline where there was like a 90s anime Book of the New Sun. Like if Mamoru Oshii did Book of the New Sun, I would never watch anything else. It would be just amazing. But I do think that like it would be great if like Los Bujold's Vorkoskin books got picked up for a show. I could really see that running for 12 seasons and people like just loving it, especially if it was like a mid 2000s like Sci-Fi Channel production. I could see that cleaning up. So do I trust a Roomba in my home? I would, but we don't have one. So you know, aside from Tolkien, who do I think is the most impactful author on me personally? It depends. It depends on like how you mean. It's probably still Herbert, right? I think Wolf has probably edged Herbert out, just because Wolf is like in a writing contest, like between Gene Wolfe and Frank Herbert. Frank Herbert doesn't even make it to the starting line. Like Wolf is a infinitely superior writer, like as a writer. And I think that that dimension, right, has impacted my writing on a sentence by sentence level more strongly than my love of science fiction that Encountering Dune at a young age engendered in me, right? But that might only be true like over time. That might not be true yet. It might still be that Herbert has been more impactful than Wolf today, but I don't know. But it's between the two of them for sure. I have not met Samuel Rukin. I would love to, but we've actually never spoken. I send a recording to Recorded Books of pronunciation guides. He listens to it, and that's been it. Aside from saying, thank you for doing this and for putting up with all the nonsense I make you say, that's about it. No, I'm not done with Herbert. There are a lot of Herbert stuff. There is a lot of Herbert stuff I've not read. Have I watched Expanse? I watched the first season. I thought it was great. I just I never continued. No reason. I just don't watch a lot of TV. Favorite Roman Emperor Justinian. Justinian for sure. I like Augustus a lot. You'd be a fool not to like. He's really the archetype. But Justinian's my favorite. He's short too. So I have read Peace. I have not read Peace yet. I have read Fifth Head. Fifth Head is amazing. The problem with Peace is I know the twist. And so gala live stream tickets, tickets to watch the show live. That is an interesting idea. But no, I think we'll record it and we'll publish the video later. What book should I start with from Wolf and Herbert? With Herbert, obviously Dune, right? But if you don't want to read Dune for whatever reason, I really like The White Plague. It is very bleak, and sort of painful, but it's one of his more emotional pieces, honestly. Destination Void is also very cool, especially if you played the original Marathon, the Bungie game, like from before Halo, not the new one. But Wolf, Book of the New Sun, Shadow of the Torturer, is his most famous. Is the most famous series. So, the answer is not Hadrian. I think the good emperors are mostly overrated. My sort of general feeling is that the emperors that are more criticized by the historical record were probably the more effective individuals. Personally, I have a great deal of affection for Caligula, funnily enough, because I think most of the stuff you hear about him is not true. I think they tried to kill him. He got sick about halfway through his rule, and he got a lot worse after that. I think that was revenge. I think he was on his way out. I do think so. I think the same is probably true of Nero, Belemres. I do think Nero was a lot stupider though. My light just fell down. That's cool. I fell in a way I'm not worried about, but give me a moment. The wind blew it over. But typically, like, you see someone like Domitian, get criticized so roundly. It's probably because the people who were writing about him, right, who are always actually his opponents, right, or they were mad that he was beating them. So, the Ghost of Nero did not like that comment. Well, I don't like him very much. So, but anyway, chair stream, yes, yeah, just for a second there. But this is like largely the thing, right? You see this Justinian too. The reason that Justinian has Procopius writing nasty things about him and his wife, is because Justinian was an opponent of Procopius and his people, right? So, like, of course he's writing nasty things about Theodora, which were probably mostly true, not the goose thing, but surely the bit about her being a prostitute was true, right? But probably not the goose, but use your imagination. But it involves Leda, and I guess it was a swan, but you get the idea. In any case, yeah. So I usually you read these things. People say history is written by the victor. That's not true. History is written by nerds, and the nerds in the Roman context are the the sons of patrician families who are the nobility who are always fighting with the emperor. So, yeah, like Catherine the Great and the Horse, 100%, 100%. Yeah, this is Caligula. Caligula brought his horse into the Senate and named him senator, right? And it was them, it was him saying, like, you guys are so dumb. My favorite horse is, a better senator than you. And like the senator's like, he's crazy. He's like, no, he's not crazy. Justinian did spend too much money. Reconquering the West was not really worth it, right? As awesome as Belisarius was, right? Any leaders from antiquity I would call deliberately malicious. I think that Caracalla was deliberately malicious, for sure. I think most of the Persians get a bad rap. Cambyses probably was, off the top of my head. Those are the two that jump out at me. But like the thing is, right, is that if you are a monarch or a similar authority figure in a Bronze or Classical Age civilization, like you are not going to pass the nice guy test by the standard of the average like American, right, in 2025. Nobody is, right? And that's true today too. It's like of course, right, the prime minister is a jerk, right, or a moron or a weirdo. Of course the president sucks, right? Like he is in that position, right? Like obviously. So niceness is a luxury incompatible with power. And we shouldn't be surprised by this. Now, that being said, right, there's evil and there's evil, but so anyway, I'll keep going for another few minutes. We're closing on the 2-hour mark, but we still have 100 people. Holy cow. I would love a Byzantine series for HBO. I would have loved if John Milius could have done like a Constantine sequel or like a Justinian sequel. Almost as much as I wish that he'd finished Rome in the first place. The whole original plan would have seen like season 5 Pulo come into contact with Christ, and just seeing Jesus show up after 5 seasons of Rome would have been just an amazing. It would have like really, I think, concretized just how much of a as the kids say, vibe shift the Christian message was historically. Is Far Beyond the Sun performed on guitar? Yes, there is a guitar, but it is accompanied by orchestra. But the guitar is still there. It is essential. 100%. Belisarius and Agrippa, my goats. Yeah. 100%. Agrippa's the man. Agrippa looks exactly. My brother looks exactly like Agrippa. The famous bust. It's like literally my brother. It's amazing. I want to get him a replica. But yeah. Vor, I couldn't possibly even touch that question. I'm sorry. Byzantine's financial troubles are why Basil II is the best emperor, but it's very close. Basil II is amazing. Basil II is great. Just absolutely great emperor. I like Justinian personally. I think he's more dramatic as a character. Is why I like him. Not that Basil isn't, right? But so many of those Byzantine guys are absolute characters. But I think that there is just a really sort of just an interesting person in Justinian, alongside his effectiveness as emperor. And I also like his relationship with Theodora. I like Theodora. It's very unusual to see a couple work so well together at that station in that time period. And there is something weirdly sweet about that. There is just like a really interesting sort of dynamic there that I just like. I appreciate as a storyteller. I like the story. Also, like the Night Emperor, like, man, what a great title. If I had add an animal companion to Sun Eater, what kind of animal would you choose? Hadrian would have a talking bird, probably. He's almost that guy. Just finished Disquiet Gods. Somehow topped all your other books. Well, thank you. It is. I'm really proud of Disquiet Gods. Was Hadrian older at this point in the story than I originally planned when writing Empire of Silence? No. No. Have I played Clay Obscure? No, not yet. I want to. I just when it came out, I had just finished Metaphor, and I didn't want to do another RPG. Base Theodora Enjoyer. Yes, as you should be. Polino just needs a parrot. Polino would 100% be that guy. He has the eye patch, or at least had the eye patch. So, taking the deeps for a walk. Yes, that's a good. That's a good one. I love Luis. He was my favorite character in the game. I do think there was a little bit of like, what is his real goal? Like, how sympathetic is he really? They kind of yanked around too much when it was like pretty clear, that he was not a nice guy. But I enjoyed Metaphor. It winning a BAFTA for storytelling, I think, is a little bit too high a praise. I don't think it's as deep as a lot of its champions say that it is. I don't think it's shallow by any means, but like ultimately it is like, be nice, discrimination is bad, which is not very deep, but the characters are all very wonderful. The voice acting is tremendous, and most importantly, as a game, it is fun, which it is very hard to keep that old school turn-based thing fun. I know I need to play Clair Obscure. I know I love Lost Odyssey too, but I will get there. But like it had been a long time since I had seen that combat system work so effectively, and a lot of the quality of life choices they made were very good. Obviously, like the UI design is amazing, right? It's just a very fun. The soundtrack is amazing, right? I really enjoyed it. I would strongly recommend it. See, I'm not always saying things are bad. And yeah, Luis is great, just great. Red Rokoskin on your recommendation. Slapped. Could not get into Book of the New Sun. Tried 3 times. That is okay. Looking for another rec. Either thinking Rift War or Light Shadow. I have read neither of those. Lost Odyssey is go to Doom, my guy. It's so good. It's the best Final Fantasy game. Not even close. 7? What are you talking about? What is video game with the greatest story in my opinion? Lost Odyssey is in the conversation. Really, 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 really good. Especially if you read the short stories that are in the game as collectibles. Amazing. Atlas UI has always been a banger, 100%. The UI is why I wanted to play Persona, but then I was always put off by the story. I just never did it. As far as like games with best story, yeah, Lost Odyssey is up there for me. That's probably the single greatest emotional impact on me in my life. I love Tales of Symphonia. I love Bat and Kaitos on the GameCube. I get made fun of for bringing that up occasionally, but I really do love that game. And like, you know, I want to separate like that from the sort of world building you see in From Software games, which I love all of those games. But it's you know, have I seen the upcoming Silksong announcement? Yes, we can take our clown noses off. Very excited. Was I a big MMO guy? No, not really. I played Phantasy Star Online for a while, like on the GameCube. Like I had the broadband adapter on my GameCube. I still do. It's downstairs. But that's not. You know, I played RuneScape a little bit. And I played WoW for like 2 weeks. But I was never an MMO guy. I'm a single player game kind of person. Witcher 3 should totally be in the best story conversation. Witcher 3 is the best Western RPG in my opinion. Haven't played Mass Effect, yes. The first two are great. The third one is great until the last 5 minutes. Then it's terrible. Writing Flannery O'Connor, yes, like short stories in school, and I love them all, but I like never circled around because I just have always been like this for science fiction. If it wasn't like, you know, Borderlands, I played the first one, not really my thing, not my sense of humor. Final Fantasy Tactics for sure, way up there. But yeah, I think for me it is Lost Odyssey Doom. I think that's got to be the best story I've seen in a game. It's so good. Favorite guitarist, Richie Blackmore. It's funny. I was just talking to my daughter about this. She likes my music so far. And I was trying to explain what a guitar is because she's 2. You know, I was like, that guy, he's the one. First 2 Bioshocks are, yeah. Infinite's very good too. All the Bioshocks are very good. Guy Gabriel K. Guy Gabriel K is the man. Serentine Mosaic's my favorite K stuff, obviously. Having talked about Justinian so much. Getting a new police canine partner, need to pick a name and want something inspired by Lord of the Rings. Man, shoot, what's the dog's name? What's Luthien's dog's name? Huan, I think Huan. Help, chat. But there is a dog. But yeah, I mean Strider's not bad. That's a pretty good name for a dog. And Huan would sound like Juan anyway. But yeah, it's Huan. Yeah, there you go. But no, I think Strider's pretty good. No, I like that. You should do that. If he's kind of dopey, Samwise would be a good choice though. You know, so. But he's a canine dog, so I don't know how dopey they're allowed to be. But Strider is a great dog name. Casey's with me. Yeah. I never played Horizon. I was not interested. Do I listen to prog metal much? Yes. Yes. Most of what I listen to is like classic stuff, but I do like prog metal. I'm a big Savatage fan, for example. They got pretty proggy the back half of their catalog. Were I ever into Dark Tower? No. The only King book I've ever read is The Shining. I've never been interested. But yeah. Honestly, talking about Hobbit names for dogs though, Peregrine would be pretty cool. You know, you don't have to call him Pippin, but Peregrine would be cool for a police dog because you got the Falcon thing going on too. Chris Challion is amazing. I need to read that. I only have gone through the Vorkosigan stuff. I haven't touched the fantasy. I feel like now is not the good time. Opinion on the Reformation, mistake. But to complicate that, like, you know, a lot of the stuff about like indulgences and things are kind of poorly understood historically and were poorly understood at the time. The church was not you weren't buying your way into heaven, right? Like you weren't. The problem was there were like local or regional people who were not doing things correctly, rather than like there being a sort of centralized policy to do the things the way that people understand. I do, however, like, why can't we read the Bible in German? Like, what's the problem precisely? The whole reason the Latin Bible existed in the first place was so that normal people could read the book. So, so like, I get that. On the other hand, like, wanting a divorce, get out of here, Henry. Like, sorry, Albert, but big mistake. St. Catherine did nothing wrong. So, are there dogs, cats, pets in the world in Sun Eater? Yeah, sure. Thoughts on Hunt for Gollum? I think it's like way too late, right? I think everybody's like super old, and I think that is maybe not great. I like Andy Serkis as a director. I like Andy Serkis as a performer, right? I know he's in Clair Obscur. I hear you guys. I know. That's the thing that tipped me over the edge to wanting to play it. So like I believe that he genuinely cares about the material, about those actors, about all that stuff, right? So like I could see a way in which it is not terrible. I think that story is interesting, right? Actually, everybody's like, we don't need to see it. Like, I could have stood to see more of Gandalf and Aragorn and of Gollum and all this stuff, right? And there is room to make that story dramatically interesting, but this far after the fact, it feels foolish. I would love to be wrong, but so. Albert, you just like gained 1,000 cool points. Very awesome. John Calvin was goated. No, John Calvin, no, not my guy. So, Reed Remembers of Earth Past. Is that Shishin Lu? Maybe one day. But yeah, I haven't read it. Yeah. But Henry VIII can go cry about it in hell. But terrible. Him and Elizabeth both boo. I do love my Calvinist friends, Corey, if you're still here. But obviously have deep theological disagreements with you. However, right, they are I am not interested in like intramural arguments. So Protestantism, yeah. Unless I'm arguing with my father-in-law, then it's fun, What Team Powers book should I start with? My favorite is Stress of Her Regard. I would start there, or with Declare, or if you're feeling piratical, On Stranger Tides is great. So those are usually my choices. Anubis Gates is probably the answer most people would give. I still like you, Ash. Don't worry. I saw Brendan do the thing where he said his mother is in here to remind me to go to bed. So I will head that way. I will, however, answer one more question, and I will answer Tanner's here. Is more stuff from Will Musser planned? Yes, I already have one more piece, actually, just waiting for the right time. But yes, so there will be more. There'll be more music eventually. I was just talking to Will a couple days ago, actually. Everybody, this has been an absolute pleasure. It's good to see you all. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your evening or nighttime if you're Albert and should be going to sleep. Man, I wish I had time to talk about the Doctor Who audio dramas, but I should really go to bed. Yan, next time I'll see you. I love Big Finish, but I'll talk to you all later. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, farewell.